Hey, good morning, New Life Church. My name is Michael Hogue. I'm from the Heber Springs campus. We are continuing this series where we're talking about David. David was an amazing man. He did amazing things. He did some not so amazing things. But I think there's a lot we can learn from studying him and his life. He was called a man after God's own heart. So we're going to be talking today specifically about his interactions with a man named Ziba. Now, Zeba, we're going to see is a former servant of the previous King Saul. And he has three different interactions with him. Now, I'm not going to read all of them today. There's a lot to it. So I want to encourage you guys to spend some time today reading it yourself. I'll tell you where these stories are located. But in the first one, we're going to be looking at his first interactions in 2 Samuel 9, verses 1 through 13. And what happens is that David is looking for somebody in Saul's family. And he specifically says, I want to show kindness to them for Jonathan's sake. Now, Jonathan was Saul's son and was also David's best friend. When David was on the run, Jonathan was with him through many hard times. Of course, Jonathan died on the same day as his father, but he brings in this man named Ziba. Now, Ziba was a former servant of Saul, and he asks him if there's anybody in the family that's still alive. And Ziba says, yes, there is one. There actually was more than one, but specifically he talks about this man named Mephibosheth. And Mephibosheth is one of Jonathan's sons, and he's crippled in both feet. So when asked, he tells me he's at this place called Lodabar. And now Lodabar means no shepherd, no pasture, like a cow pasture. It's a barren place. And specifically, I think in my head, like some of these these small little towns in Arkansas with like population 37 and no high-speed internet. Like it's in the middle of nowhere. And the reason why Mephibosheth is there is because he's in hiding. He's on the run. You see, he's the grandson of Saul, and Saul, the former king, even though he's dead, he is a deposed king. And historically speaking, bad things happen to the heirs of a deposed king. Usually the new king wants to come in and just completely eliminate them because they're a threat. They have a legitimate claim to the throne, so they just want to wipe them out. So David gets here and he sees Mephibosheth, and Mephibosheth falls down on his face and tells him that he's a servant. But David says, don't be afraid, which is, he was probably very afraid. That's why he was hiding in the first place. That's why he was in Lodabar, and now he's standing, or I guess he's on his face, but David is standing in front of him, the very man that he was on the run from. But David says, I intend to show kindness to you because of my promise to your father Jonathan. I will give you all the property that once belonged to your grandfather Saul, and you will eat here with me at the king's table. So this is huge. Not only did he not kill him, but he gave him his property. He gave him servants. The man Zeba that was there with him, all of Zeba's sons, he said, you're going to be servants and you're going to work the land. But even more than that, he said, you're going to eat at my table from now on. It says that in verse 11, it says that he ate regularly at the table like one of the king's own sons. This is a great depiction of how God loved us. God gave us more than just mercy. David gave Mephibosheth more than just mercy. It would have been mercy just to not kill him. But what he did was say that, you know what? Now, not only am I not going to kill you, not only am I going to let you live, I'm going to restore to you everything that you lost, and you're going to eat with me. I think, with Jesus, the price that he paid, look, it would have been mercy if it was just like, okay, I paid this price for you, the price that you couldn't pay, now you no longer are going to hell. Like if that's all it was, that would have been a great mercy. But it was more than that. Romans says that we were made co-heirs with Christ. Jesus says that no longer do I call you servant, do I call you slave, I call you friend. And so what a great picture of the love of God that David was able to show Mephibosheth. And I think this is one of the times that David really got it right. But a lot of things happen, crazy things go down. David's on the run. There's basically a rebellion that's against him, and so a lot of the people are in on it. and he goes and he sees Ziba on the road. And this is in 2 Samuel 16, 1 through 4. And Ziba's there, and he's got horses, and he's got donkeys, he's got provisions. But when David asked where Mephibosheth was, Ziba said that Mephibosheth stayed back in Jerusalem. He told them to go on. It's like, today, I'm going to get back everything. I'm going to be restored to power, whatever. And David's hurt. David's mad. He actually strips right there Mephibosheth of everything that he has, all of his property, all of his land, and he gives it to Zeba. This was not uncommon those times. The king had that right. So now fast forward, the rebellion's been squashed. David is once again king. And in 2 Samuel 19 verses 24 through 30, we see Mephibosheth who comes out and greets him there. It says he came down to Jerusalem to meet the king. He had not cared for his feet, trimmed his beard, or washed his clothes since the day the king left Jerusalem. First of all, that's gross. Wash your clothes. But really what it does is it shows the heart that Mephibosheth had. He was grieving. He was grieving because of the things that Ziba said against him that were lies. He said that he slandered him. He said, how could I do this to you? Look, he said, the only thing that me and my relatives could have expected from you is death, but you gave me everything. He said, you gave me a seat at your own table. And David said, okay, I've heard enough. He said, I've decided that you and Zeba will split the land equally between you. I love this line. It ends in verse 30. It says, Mephibosheth, it says, give him all of it. I am content to just have you safely back again, my lord the king. So one of the things with this, I'll be honest, guys, this really threw me through a loop. Like I was having a hard time understanding. You know, at the beginning we see David did such a good job with the grace and the love that he had for Mephibosheth. But here, Ziba lied. He lied to David at the expense of Mephibosheth. And Mephibosheth, he didn't get everything restored to him. In fact, Ziba got to keep half of all of the land, all the property and stuff like that. And I really kind of had a hard time with that, trying to figure out why was this the case? And the truth is, nobody really knows what happened. Nobody really knows why. Like, you know, was this one of the situations where like, your kids are fighting in the back seat and you're like, fine, just split it. Like, was it something like that? You know, David had just came back. He was in a great mood. He was excited. He was the king again. Maybe his focus was gone. And one of the things that I realized as I was studying this, that between the point where David got it so right and between the point where I think that David got it so wrong, something really interesting happened. It was the whole story with Bathsheba. And I really, as I start to read from that moment on, David seems maybe like he's in a decline. So maybe at this point here, he was so just excited to have the throne back that he wasn't thinking right. Whatever the case was, it's just really interesting that that's the case. But what I really think is the main takeaway from this story, and what I really think that we need to be focusing on, the question of why did David do this? Why did David split the land? I don't think it's the right question, and I don't think it's the right focus, and I don't think it's the right point of the ending of this story here. What I think we need to see is what Mephibosheth said. That this man, David, who had every right to kill him, not only didn't kill him, but made him a co-heir of the kingdom. And yes, at the end of it, Mephibosheth, he lost half of what was rightfully his, but the possessions didn't matter. The items, the land, the servants, none of that mattered. What he wanted, what he said is, I am content just to have you safely back again, my Lord the King. So what my ask to you, church, is this. Your God has done so much for you. He is giving you so much more than you possibly could ask for, than you possibly could deserve. Look for ways in your life where you get so caught up on the things you have or you don't have that it takes your focus away from what it should be. And is that, God, I'm just thankful. I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful to be in your presence. I don't care about the stuff. I don't care about the house. I don't care about the business. None of that matters as long as I have you, God. That's all I have. Have a wonderful rest of the day, church, and we will see you tomorrow.